All right, welcome back to another episode of Family Tradition Fishing. I've been trying like crazy to get this scrounger video done. Have not forgot about it. It's just not working. The weather is not cooperating with me at all. I'd rather fish in the rain. I love fishing in heavy winds like it is right now. Just camera gear and water not working together. Go figure. Electronics getting wet. Don't work. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about my top 5 spring baits. Ha! I got it that time. I didn't stutter across it 15 times. I was saying spring break for a half an hour. So the first one we're going to talk about, and it's not my favorite, it's just the first one I picked up, and that's the jerk bait. This one is the SDR11 by Rapala. That one goes 2 to 4 foot. I really like moving back to those secondary points if the fish have started moving back, if the water temperature has came up, and like throwing it out across those secondary points, working it around really well, and I seem to get good bites. We're talking about my top 5 spring baits. They're not necessarily yours. This is what I have confidence in. So with that being said, moving on to 2. This is my second, and that's a spinnerbait. Yes, that is double Colorado. That is not what I throw most of the time. Normally I'm throwing double willow leaf, but it's what I had in my truck. I wasn't going to go uncover my boat to get more because it's raining, and I really didn't feel like getting soaked. On the back of that spinnerbait, I like throwing a Kitech, and that's a 4.3 Kitech. That's Pro Blue with red pearl. And that's one of my favorite trailers, period. I'm not affiliated with Kitech in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It's just, I really, really like the action that their baits give off. Number 4, square bill. No surprise to anybody. If they're sitting on secondary rocky points or in treetops, don't be afraid to throw them in treetops. As long as you don't throw across the treetops and you throw down the limbs, you can normally get that bait back. If you throw across the treetop, odds are you're hung, unless you're just a lot better fisherman than me and I haven't really figured out how to do it, and you have. So, really like square bills. I like the action of square bills. I think they're a really great bait. They catch fish. That's for dang sure. 4th, you know it. Can you see it? 4th, it's that red eye shad, any kind of lipless, crankbait, rattle trap, red eye shad, doesn't really matter. When they're laying on on those secondary points, getting ready to feed up for spring, the way I fish them and I get the most hits is I throw them across the point and I start working them back off the point. When the point starts to slope, when I stop feeling that I'm smacking rocks coming across the point, I would jerk it up and let it flutter back down, coming off the point in a pendulum. It seems to work wonders for me. I catch a ton of fish doing this. It's just how I like to fish them. It's what I have confidence in. And then 5th, when nothing else is working and you just got to slow down, it's the old trusty jig. That's a football head jig. David Bryant made that for me. He makes all my jigs. He just makes the jig. I do the trailer. That way, it's specifically, the trailer is exactly what I want for that day if they're not hitting, what I have. But mostly with jigs, it's keep it simple, stupid. KISS. You don't have to have 50,000 different colors of jigs in your boat. Do I? Yeah. Why? Because fishing tackle catches more fishermen than it does fish, and they're pretty and I like them. So they're like little candies. They're little candy morsels is what they are. But anyways, I like taking the jig, working it off the points, throwing it in laydowns, especially if they have bypassed those secondary points because your lake is flooded, which is actually happening in Georgia right now, and they move up into that new foliage that just got flooded. Then I will take that jig and that Kitech, I will take that spinner bait with that Kitech or just belly weight that Kitech, and I'll throw it up into that new foliage and normally just get smashed on it. I like when they move up early. I absolutely love when the lake floods and you're up there. Last year I took my wife out on the boat and it was early spring. No, it was mid-spring. Water temperature was up around spawning, but that being aside the point, it had flooded real bad and all the brush and everything was pushed against the bank. And we went back there, and as we're getting closer to it, we're hearing them bust. And it was so thick with the brush and everything and trees that were back there and the pine needles. She honestly, and then we're in North Georgia, she freaked out and thought there were alligators busting through up there because it was just so violent. The bluegill would get up and get stuck on top of it, and the bass would just come through and wreck. And it just sounded, I mean, it was horrible. Great for me, bad for her, because we're in a freaking canoe at the time and she didn't want to paddle over there with me, so we were kind of going in circles. But we get over there and I'm flipping down behind them. I could not, with an ounce weight, get through. And that's the heaviest jig that I had. So I had to wait for them to come by and bust and then throw in the hole that they were just in, and I was able to get them out. So that's a really good way. If they move back into that, I'm definitely flipping a jig the whole time. Well, that is my top 5 springtime bait fishing lures. Sorry, I've messed that up all day. You have no clue. I'm struggling with the word spring baits. But that's my top 5. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, and comment. And I'm gonna get out here and get soaking wet. Thanks for watching.